Alrighty, what is your number 5 QB?
So my number 5 is actually Herbert. I know you had him lower, and I know you kind of went off about like, oh, he has potential, but does he really? I put underused because I feel like that potential can be there. I just don't feel like he's been used right. Like he's
I think Brendan Staley was not the coach for him, and he
yeah.
has the potential of winning MVP. So
I mean, I had him winning it last year, and look how that went. So
yeah, he did get hurt last year, though. We got to keep that in mind. So my number 5 is Joe Burrow. I know a lot of you are going to
Ooh.
come at me saying that's too low. He did lead a team to a Super Bowl. His confidence is unmatched. I like him a lot. I would be over the moon if my quarterback was Joe Burrow. I don't have anything negative to say. It's mostly because I have so much faith in the 4 guys I have in front of him.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I wouldn't say it's too low. I mean, for what he's done, I feel like that's pretty decent where you have him.
I'm curious if we're ever going to have someone the same. I mean, we probably have number 1 the same. I hope we do.
Tiger 1 or 2 might be close. I don't know. You know me, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Number 4.
Number 4, I also thought I'd have this dude higher. I have Allen.
Josh Allen. Okay.
And my big thing is I like the way he throws it. And like I said earlier, I just feel like his receivers have done less for him than he's done for them. So I just like Allen. You do get that interception every game, but that's because he's trying to make a big play.
Yeah.
Like he's got the heart. So it's a great franchise starter.
He does. My number 4 is going to be, I don't think you're going to like this play. You haven't said him yet, so I'm curious if he's even in your top 10. He was my MVP I picked before the season. Trevor Lawrence is just him. I don't know if he was dealing with an injury this year. His receivers went down. The collapse of the Jacksonville Jaguars when they should have won the AFC South by a mile last year is insane. But the flashes I've seen from Trevor Lawrence, he's tall, pocket passer. He's got the good build. He can get out of the pocket and make a play. He's just talented, raw talent. And Trevor Lawrence, no one ever talks when we talk about, what quarterback is the most talented. Trevor Lawrence never gets that recognition, but I think he might be the most talented, gifted quarterback in the league. So I have high praise for Trevor Lawrence.
Spoiler, he's not on my list.
Mm.
The only thing that I'll really say, I agree with most of those. I would also say, though, I feel like a bad AFC South the past few years have made him look better than he is. Because now that the AFC South has started to get better, he's all of a sudden seemed like he's not necessarily playing worse, he's just seen worse. And I just think that's because for a good portion of games during the season, he's played very mediocre South teams, and he's looked really good. Like, he's looked great in those games, and it's like, well, those weren't that great of teams in the South. So now that they're getting better, I don't think he's worse. I just don't think he looks as good.
Gotcha.
So,
alrighty, number 3.
So my 3 is Burrow.
Mm.
This one's I like Burrow, and I think it's mainly the ice in the veins thing. Like, he just seems so composed, kind of like Mahomes almost. Like, even in the playoffs when he played Mahomes, I mean, he's lost and won against him. He just always seems calm and collected. You don't really see that frustration from him. And so I think he handles the pressure really well. It's really the guys around him that have kind of helped him fall or even get injured. So I like Burrow up there. I wanted to put him higher, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, no moment has ever seemed too big for Joe Burrow. The fact he went to Ohio State, was a third string quarterback, ended up transferring to LSU, and then all of a sudden that LSU team might be the greatest college team ever assembled is nuts. But yeah. Number 3 for me is my Pookie Bear, Jordan Love, dude. I started off the season high on Jordan Love. The first 3 weeks, I was like, oh my goodness. Let my emotions fill it a little bit into me, forgetting that this was his first season as a starter. So he had some highs, he had some lows, but the way he ended, the way he's composed, the way he bounces around the pocket, the way he can throw it 85 yards off his back foot on a dime, the way he makes Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, I'm forgetting someone there. I mean, Watson isn't having as great of a season as he did with Rodgers, but he's making those guys look a lot better than he is, and that's the ultimate thing you want from a quarterback is someone who will elevate the players around him. It's what Tom Brady did. It's what Patrick Mahomes does, and I think he has those intangibles. Spoiler alert: the Packers are winning the North next year.
I hate that. I think it's crazy when you see those videos of like Favre, Rodgers, and Love throwing, and they're like so identical.
It's not fair. Like
it's crazy.
I love Jordan Love. I want to give him his flowers, but why does it have to be the Packers? It's not fair.
I mean, everyone gives them hate every time they draft a quarterback like that, but I mean, if it keeps working, it keeps working. Like,
yeah, hard to argue with success.
Yeah. It's number 2 for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Mahomes.
Oh my
and God. before everyone gets heated, I am starting a franchise. Mahomes is expensive as heck. Like, that's my bit. He's the best. He's the best in the league. He's going to win you Super Bowls and everything. But if you're starting a brand new franchise today, this guy can win Super Bowls. I just feel like with how much he costs, like, do you feel confident in building a brand new team around him? So that's the only reason I went second is I was like, there's just so much money up front for a new franchise to consider, like, going and getting the best QB when it's like, well, maybe
you're wrong, but I'll wait for my number 1 slot to tell you why you're wrong.
What's your number 2 then?
My number 2 is unfortunately CJ Stroud. He looks amazing. He does everything I said that Jordan Love does by elevating his people around him. He does have a good offensive line, has a really young, hungry defense. He's in a great situation for what he's at. Like, the thing that I kind of thought as like a negative is, if I was building a new franchise, could I give him the same nucleus that Houston has given him? And I'm not talking about the wide receivers, because he made the wide receivers better. Dalton Schultz is an underrated tight end. The offensive line is great, and that defense is young and hungry. They started off rough, but again, they're young and they're hungry, and they fly around. They play hard for DeMeco Ryans. And so CJ Stroud, honestly, like my probably 2 to 5, you could probably range them however you want, but CJ Stroud, just the way he elevates people around him, and just he's a dog. It's really all I have to say. And so I assume your number 1 is CJ Stroud. You're a Colts fan, man.
I know that it was so hard to play him number 1, but kind of going off what you said, Mahomes is a playmaker. Like, he just makes plays. He makes crazy plays. I feel like I agree with you where Stroud just seems to make everyone around him better. And so even if he were to have more experienced pieces or even slightly better receivers that are, been in the league and proven, I feel like he would still make them better. Whereas Mahomes with those same receivers, he'd make a play to get them the ball, but I don't know if they'd necessarily be better players. Because we've even seen good and bad receivers on the Chiefs, and it's like, yeah, they were kind of the same. It was more of Mahomes made those plays happen. And that's why I went Stroud first. It's like, he's cheap, super young, and I just feel like no matter who you put around him, he's going to excel.
See, everything you just said for CJ Stroud applies for the real true number 1 in Patrick Mahomes, minus the expensive thing. But however, he has a dynasty. He officially has a dynasty at 28 years old.